This is BayAreaSportsWeekly.com Stanford Cardinal football update, wrap-up, and review. I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. Here are our BayAreaSportsWeekly.com studios here in San Francisco. On Thursday night, it will once again the Stanford Cardinal football team knocked Oregon Ducks from the ranks of the unbeaten. On Thursday night down on the farm at Stanford Stadium in Palo Alto, it was the 5th-ranked Stanford Cardinals defeating the Oregon Ducks, who was ranked 3rd in the country. They win by a score of 26-20. However, don't be fooled by the 26-20 score for a lot of you, because Stanford dominated pretty much in all phases, in every facet of the game, in all phases. They dominated the game, and it was in the first quarter, it was Tyler Gaffney had a 2-yard run for a touchdown. That was 12 plays, 96 yards, and Stanford was up 7-0. Then in the second quarter, it was Kevin Hogan with an 11-yard touchdown run, and it was 8 plays, 58 yards, and made the score 14-0. Then in the third quarter, Jordan Williamson hit a 19-yard field goal and made it 17-0 before the end of the half. Also going in there, Hawkins 23-yard pass from Mariota. It was 26-7. Though Oregon did come back in the second half to make it a game, scoring 20 unanswered points, including a blocked field goal in the fourth quarter, where it made it 26-13. It was on Hardwick's on a block kick field goal, 65-yard return for a touchdown, and then the Ducks got the ball back. There was Mariota to Marcus for a touchdown, made 26-20. The Ducks scored 10 plays and 57 yards, and like I said again, don't be fooled by the scoreboard, because Stanford totally dominated on all phases of the game. Let's check into the team statistics. It was for Stanford for 25 first downs for Stanford to Oregon 17, 19 rushing plays to Oregon 4, passing 13 for Oregon, Stanford 3. Stanford was penalties. Stanford was penalized 3 times to the Oregon Ducks, net yards. It was Stanford dominating, playing smash mouth football for David Shaw's team, just like Jim Harbaugh, the 49ers. 274 total yards rushing to only the Ducks 62. Stanford averaged 4.2 yards per carry, while the Ducks 2.6. Rushing touchdowns was 2 for Stanford. Total net yards passing, the Ducks out 252, Stanford 103. The total net yards of offense, it was Stanford 377 to the Oregon Ducks 312. And then we'll check out the individual statistical numbers on Thursday night. As for rushing, Tyler Gaffney 45 carries, 157 yards, or 158 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He averaged 3.5 yards a carry. His longest was 16 yards. Kevin Hogan, 8 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. His long was a 12-yard game, averaging 7.1 yards a game. Also, in the receiving department, Tyrone Montgomery, 2 catches, 20 yards. That was also, while for Oregon, it was rushing. The Stanford defense stingy, as they held Byron Marshall 11 carries for 50 yards. Also for passing, Marcus Mariota 20 out of 34 for 250 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Brandon Addison 5 catches, 66 yards, and the Darrell Hawkins 3 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown, and Fire Brown 3 catches, 17 yards, 1 touchdown. So it was a total domination. Also, the Stanford Cardinal dominated the time of possession. They dominated for 42 minutes and 30 seconds, and they really dominated all phases. Though the scoreboard, they pretty much dominated in all phases of the game. So with the win, Stanford improves their record with the win to 8-1 in Pac-12. They're in sole possession. Well, they're in first place technically because they beat the head-to-head on the tiebreaker. They're 6-1 in the Pac-12 North. They have a half-game lead. Remember, Stanford do hold the tiebreaker over Oregon when it comes to head-to-head. If it comes down to a tiebreaker, Stanford would win the tiebreaker. They're a half game ahead of Oregon. Stanford is 6-1 in the Pac-12 North. Overall, they're now 8-1, while the Ducks dropped their record to 5-1. The third-ranked Ducks dropped to 5-1, and their overall record is 8-1. This loss by Oregon could all but end any hopes for them of playing for the BCS National Championship. Stanford's next game will be coming up. Their next game will be coming up on next Saturday, November 16th, as they will travel down to Southern California to take on the USC Trojans in Los Angeles. We don't know what the time will be for the kickoff time will be. Their next home game will be coming up 2 weeks from Saturday when they return to the Forum on Saturday, November 23rd. They'll take on their Bay Area rival Cal Golden Bears in the annual big game. That will be at Stanford Stadium. The kickoff time is to be announced on a later date. Then they'll wrap up their home finale on Saturday, November 30th against the Notre Dame Irish. So these are very big games coming up for Stanford. They pretty much control their own destiny. They win out, they will earn a spot in the. If they win their final 2 games in Pac-12, they will play for the Pac-12 championship, and the Pac-12 championship will be coming up on December the 7th, and that will be to be determined on a later date. The kickoff time will be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The game would either be on ESPN or on ABC. So for all your latest Stanford news, go to GoStanford.com, and BayAreaSportsWeekly.com is the exclusive network of the home of City of Champions and the network of Stanford football. Once again, the final score on Thursday night, the 5th-ranked Stanford Cardinals defeat and knock out, for the second consecutive year, they defeat the Oregon Ducks. They have sole possession of first place in the Pac-12 North Division. They win 26-20. You've been watching the Stanford Football Report. I'm Brad Professor B. Davis for BayAreaSportsWeekly.com.